Before the keyboard was a surface of letters, writing was a physical act of endurance. Pens required ink. Ink required care. Writing required posture, time, and attention. Every correction was labor. Speed was limited not by thought, but by the hand's ability to form shapes. The first writing machines were attempts to remove that friction. Early inventors imagined devices that could translate thought into text more quickly and more cleanly. But turning language into mechanics introduced a new set of problems. Letters were no longer abstract symbols. They became moving parts. In early typewriters, each key was linked to a metal type bar. Pressing a key swung that bar upward to strike an inked ribbon against paper. When two nearby bars were activated in quick succession, they could collide and jam. This wasn't a rare failure. It was constant. The faster the typist, the more unreliable the machine. This created an unusual design challenge. Most tools aim to make skilled users faster. The typewriter needed to restrain them. Not visibly, but structurally. The keyboard layout became the solution. By arranging letters so that common pairings were physically distant, designers reduced the likelihood of jams. The now familiar QWERTY arrangement scattered frequently used letters across the board. It was not optimized for ease. It was optimized for survival. This decision shaped everything that followed. Typists learned patterns that felt awkward at first, then invisible. Training systems reinforced those patterns. Speed competitions rewarded mastery of this specific layout, not writing itself. The keyboard became less a tool and more a language interface, one that demanded conformity. As technology improved, the original mechanical constraint disappeared. Electric typewriters and computers no longer jammed. In theory, the keyboard could be redesigned from scratch. And many designers tried. New layouts reduced finger movement, balanced hand usage, and lowered physical strain. On paper, they were better. But the problem had shifted. By then, QWERTY was no longer a workaround. It was an ecosystem. Offices were staffed by trained typists. Schools taught touch typing on this layout. Manuals, shortcuts, and software assumed it. The cost of changing wasn't measured in hardware. It was measured in human attention and time. Human behavior became the dominant constraint. People resist relearning skills that already feel automatic. Muscle memory is not just convenience, it's cognitive offloading. When typing becomes unconscious, the mind is free to think. Interrupt that flow and productivity collapses, even if only temporarily. This is why QWERTY persists, not because it's ideal, but because it's familiar enough to disappear. Its inefficiencies are distributed evenly enough that no single pain point demands rebellion. The layout is good enough everywhere and perfect nowhere. There is also a social element. When everyone uses the same system, compatibility becomes more valuable than optimization. Shared tools create shared expectations. A keyboard that only some people use introduces friction into collaboration, hiring, training, and support. Over time, QWERTY stopped being a design choice and became an assumption. It shaped how software shortcuts were designed. It influenced how games mapped controls. It even affected how people think about letter frequency and language flow, reinforcing its own logic. The quiet irony is that the layout was never meant to be fast. It was meant to prevent failure. Its success came not from excellence, but from adequacy paired with momentum. The aha moment arrives when you realize that QWERTY isn't frozen because it's best. It's frozen because changing it would make millions of invisible systems visible all at once. Habits would surface. Errors would spike. Attention would be consumed by the tool instead of the task. Invisible design aims to remove itself from thought. QWERTY achieved that accidentally, then held on to it through scale. Every time you type without looking, you're not just using a keyboard. You're participating in a collective agreement to prioritize familiarity over perfection. And the fact that you rarely notice it at all is the clearest sign that, in its own imperfect way, it worked.